Oh, hi, neighbor. Welcome back. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. It's the fastest freaking show in MLB. Absolutely anywhere. Oh, with your homeboy. Big Johnny Stud coming to you worldwide. Brooklyn, New York, as always. Coming out that damn chair as always. The poet that didn't even know it. Follow me up on Twitter at John Legazer Flow. Sharper than a damn razor. Same handle over on Substack, where $2 a week get you 5 pounds of shit in a 2 pound box. Find out what all the damn hubbub is about, yo. Pin posts, give you all the samples. We're never trying to blindside anybody. If I was, I'd be charging a lot more for this shit. Trust me. This is about the real ones. Baseball's version of 300. Give the book nothing. Take from that bitch everything. It ain't madness, baby.
This is Sparta!
You're damn right. Let's get it, man. I am pumped up. Yeah. Obviously, the baseball stuff, rocking and rolling. Gosh, I mean, it's every damn thing, right? The pitching sheets, yeah, view only matchup, those are really popular. The sortable stuff, it's got prop per game stuff, man, custom earn run indicators, all the split team level data that we talk about, plus bullpen stats, the Cook bullpen report with the algo and edge calculations, plus base plays, hit run ribby players for the day, K projections and daily pitcher ranks. It's freaking absolutely ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? Plus the football stuff is out, so again, I understand it's hard to ask for money and go in your pockets in these tough environments, but I'm really going to try and save you time and make it worth it. I saw my boy Shay up at the piece already. The principal's office is fucking full. The line, Shay's always, let's get it, man. Love to see it. Love to see it. Let's get the week started off with some winners. You know it. B Rose, Bay Bay. Yo, man. Thank you. I really appreciate people taking pride in the growth of everybody. Yes, we did crack 600 subs. That's a big one. And let's just do it. Jeff L., weird short slate today. You know what, though? I kind of love it. Not to say I get to ramble, but I want to do some pitching stuff. Carolina Daddy, Jason, all the usual suspects up in the piece. Appreciate you all. You know this, right? You know what I'm saying? You know this. So it's the best part of waking up. Pitching sheets in the mug. You know what Jeff was mentioning is not only are we down to just 6 games, what I like about it, and I know, I'm right, I know. I don't really love day baseball during the week. Like, I'd rather work on it and then disconnect and watch it. When it's on during the day, I'm distracted. We might have bets, and I can't keep an eyeball off it. Whatever, that's just me. Plus, I'm very bad at betting during the day. That has just continued all season. And it's been a career-wise thing for me. I'm dead serious. If you're tailing, just keep in mind the daytime stuff. I can't quantify it, so I'm not going to move it in the model. I've had the old school bettors tell me it's about getaway days and traveling schedules, and that's when personal stuff starts to creep in. And I'm like, that kind of makes some sense. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't really pushing back. It makes sense, but it's hard to quantify, and that's the human and subjective element. Honestly, this is honest to God. It got so out of hand. This is when I was betting professionally, right, for myself to keep the lights on before I was working or anybody knew who the hell I was. I just stopped doing it. Like when something is not working, even if you can't figure it out, I would just say then it's not worth the aggravation, and it took off. Not to say you have to put bets out, but I model for people, and they want results, and we cap the games. People win bets during the day. It ain't me. All right, enough talk about a glowing endorsement. Now sign up. I'm terrible at what I do. Caden Dana on the bump for the Angels. He's up. I think it's to fill the Kikuchi spot. Angels are heavy dogs on the road against my boy, Joey Cantillo. Cantillo came out of the box really great. If I'm not mistaken, we might have had a couple of hurdles. You're seeing some blue pop up in the spreadsheet here. Man, now the command looks like it's starting to get away from him. The chases have dropped off the page. The ball's in the air. BABIP a little bit high, but we don't want to make excuses for him. This is what I like about these slates. It actually look, and you don't really have to assume as much. I won't go on total wild rides. No, he was okay last time out. It was just more the last month, having trouble with efficiency, walking 3 batters in 3 of the last 4. This is Joey Cantillo. But, 1 run in 2 of the last 3. The strikeouts have kind of disappeared. So there might be like a a tipping thing going on here or an arm angle thing going on here. This feels to me like a slight adjustment thing. And I usually put my faith in a team like Cleveland, right? I wouldn't put that faith in a team like the Angels, who have shown to not only get the most out of pitchers, right? They get the least out of pitchers. Look at Kikuchi in the season he had with Houston, a good R&D organization, opposed to the damn Angels that are just the worst. So I hope it's not coming across as blind faith. Let's see Cantillo. I got the hood popped here. Sorry, I've been trying to work drinks into this. My throat is killing me, man. Everyone's getting sick again. So the four-seamer, the low velo four-seamers, Cantillo is only at 91. You really never want to see that usage up over 40, where it is now at 45. So to me, that's the big hang-up probably, because he's getting really great outputs from the changeup, 258 X-Slug, 44 whiff, check, and the curveball, 258 X-Slug, 30 whiff, check. Even the slider, the X-Slug at 430, which is not crazy, 450, 500 is high. The whiff rate at 26 is okay. So it's really just a four-seamer. I think this will be corrected. Man, I'm just worrying if it's going to be today because the guard's at minus 180. That's really high for an offense I'm not sure I trust. Against, Dana is a guy that I don't think you can trust. Let me get the L14 over to righties. The guard's right-handed stuff you could see is pretty weak, just under 350 PAs, 219 BA, despite the low BABIP. I guess the pull fly balls are there, I guess. There's a claim for, a little bit of positive regression. A little bit too patient here, right? We always point this out. We love the low K and we love the high walk, the low swinging strike, and all that goodness. But when the swing rate is below 45 and the barrel rate is sitting at 5, ex-con at 312, which is like easily the lowest in the league, we want to see a little more aggression. Take the bat off the shoulders, because that's how you're going to get damage done by attacking the strike zone. You know what I mean? I see Petey and J Main. What's going on, Paolo? Well, Guan, everybody. This feels like a play where I would have chased Guardians run line like yesterday. That didn't work. The offense is not great. Neither is Dano. We love to attack these guys off of breaks. I'm sorry, I have to add this. The numbers that you see for Dano are 25. He hasn't pitched yet, and he's had struggles, and he was having a bad year in the minors. Maybe we need to be looking at it over here. We could just look at Angels v. Lefties. I mean, I was thinking L30, we could go year to date. Either way, let's see what the sample is. It's 350 PAs, it's not bad. And the Angels have really killed lefties. Fuck. They've taken walks and not chased, which, like I mentioned, has been the bugaboo for Cantillo. Again, this is all stems from the four-seamer. He's going to get it. This feels like, at some point he's going to be good. I don't want to put out the call to buy low in fantasy yet, because unfortunately, as much as I like him, we've seen these cases where the pitcher bottoms out, gets dropped, has to correct it down in the minors, and then comes back, he's going to be good. So I'm a little bit worried that maybe this isn't over. I should have quoted the total. This one's I'm not sure if this is current, if it's really 4.5 and 8. Hold on, I was a second behind today. I can't even blame the schedule. I was just fucking behind Mother's Day stuff. Wink. Yeah, total's at 8, and I think we want to get over that. I know the model is not really screaming it. The model calling for a bit more regression. I'm in a little bit of disagreement, because I think either Cleveland busts Dana, or the Angels get to Cleveland, or they both score 4, and that flat 8. I really love those. There's so many ways to get there. Or, again, that 4-4 equals 9 that we love so much. So I'm going to put Angels and Cleveland, FG08 on the show pick. And moving on up. Ryan Weathers on the bump for the bad guys. Yankees on the road with the bullpen emoji, -175 heavy favorites down in B-more to face Brandon Forever Young and the O's. Model's got Yankee scoring a bunch. Young is probably going to struggle with his team. I think the obvious right. What's the obvious analysis here? Young, not good. Yankees, comma, good. Young has always struggled with swing and miss and being in zone and getting damaged. Sierra north of 5, the whip almost at 1.5. These are the type of guys that are going to be in trouble with the Yankees. When you're trying to push a four-seamer, again, that 40% mark is when the eyebrows should go up. That's why I have that stuff out there. Keep one hairy eyeball on that four-seam bin all the time. It really does matter. The velo and the stuff plus, how that matters right here. Let's do a little big nose. Hold on one second. I need like an incoming lesson thing. Fastballs are the foundational pieces for pitching, and you never want to ignore it before you start any kind of analysis. The real benchmarks are velocity, usage, and I've been using Stuff Plus. I know there's some consternation and pushback on the stat itself. All that stuff I agree. In particular, Eno, my man, talking about how they had to throttle sweepers as the league caught up. I'm compartmentalizing off-speed and fastball. And when I did that, all my problems with the off-speed stuff kind of went away. Stuff plus on the four-seamer, which I've like so cleverly put, stuff with 2 capital Fs. Oh, hi-oh. Really matters. And it's such a great metric, and I find almost never, it's so rare that my own work, I was doing this kind of diagnostic work anyway, but to give you an idea, not to reverse engineer it, but it's more than velo. Fastballs come down to shape, right? We all hear about the rising four-seamer. None of them rise. They just sink less than the field. That creates a deceptive element, and also when thrown up in the zone, can create a greater distance between the bat handle and where you need to go. So it's just an order of magnitude harder. So in a million words or less, four-seamers really matter. If you see high velo, but a low stuff plus number, 100 being average, that's a red flag. Velo is a carrying tool. But that other stuff really matters. Then you have to go to utilization. Great velo, great stuff plus, but 5% usage, right, where it's a sinker baller, you can't be weighing that. Any pitcher over 35 or 40% better have plus 96 velo and plus 104, 105 stuff plus, or that's another red flag. So learn how to break down the four-seam bin that we provide every single day. Sign up to the stack. 5 pounds of shit in a 2-pound box. And add some nuance and context to your life. You know what I'm saying? All right, so that's how you use this stuff, right? I like to mix in these little lessons for the newbies. Some of these lessons might be worth the price of admission at all. So Weathers has been good, but there's some worries. Of course, he's been a little bit wild at times. He's been the roller coaster, if I'm not mistaken, where you get either these like really great money starts or kind of blow-ups. And a lot of times that's going to come down to the flip side when there are lefty mashers, right? So, all right, there haven't really been a ton of blow-ups. He's been a lot more good than bad. Maybe I was mistaken. He just faced these Orioles. A couple of the runs were unearned. But he had got blown up by the Angels, and that was the point that I wanted to make. They have the lefty mashers, right? So as good as Weathers might look on paper, now let's flip it over Orioles v. lefties last 30. The hard hit rates, the pulled line drives, the lack of chase, taking walks, right? These are bad signs for Weathers, despite the low average. Like, who cares? Year to date, I think we might even be getting the same kind of signals. Baltimore v. lefties on the season. Again, tons of hard hit balls, lots of pulled fly balls. That's the key to success. Lack of chase, making contact, taking walks, and I think that's how you get to Weathers. So I'm a little bit worried here. I think I'm on the over again. I forgot to sort my bullpens. Yankees pen has been really good. Orioles bullpen kind of falling apart at the seams. But with the Yankees as a heavy favorite. So here I'm really going to be pushing. Again, the model's a little short of the 9. I'd really like to get that 8.5, even if I have to pay for it, and go over. I think we have a lot of signals here. Yankees offense, obviously awesome. Brandon Young going to struggle. Baltimore bullpen is bad. Weatherson's in a spot he might struggle. And even if he does not struggle, I don't think he's going to be efficient. There's patience on both sides. He's had problems with command. So if he's dancing around, maybe we only get a clean 5. Yankees are on the bullpen report. All 3 of the top guys have gone back-to-back. The pitch counts are in check, but I'm not sure if the Yanks go back-to-back-to-back. A lot of teams won't do that. I certainly don't think they're going to do it if they're up at all. So the Yankees kind of up 3 at some point, right? 3, even if it's low scoring and we're worried about the over, 3-0, 4-1 in the 6th. They're going to go to the back end. Maybe the Orioles get some work done, and then you could see how that could spin. So I'm going to be looking 8.5. Let me just check the pricing really quick. It's going to be out there for sure. MGM has an 09 minus 105, so there's absolutely going to be an 8.5. That's what I'm going to put. Obviously, I think the Yankees win, but I'm a little bit worried about the run line because I think the Orioles might have some gas in the tank today. You could see the Orioles also have the 3.5 team total. Model's still a little short of 4. I'm not loving the model today. We're in a little bit of disagreement. I think I could probably put it safely at minus 125 for that price before we move on. All right, let's get going. This one should be a lot of fun, man. Drew Rasmussen on the bump for the Flat fucking Fish of Florida. They're on the road north of the border to face the Gauss Man and the Bluebirds, minus 131 at the crib. I mean, has anybody been better than Rasmussen right now? Jay Main said over and be more, rinse and repeat. Yeah, no doubt. That bullpen is a fucking gross, man. But back to the matter at hand. Rasmussen's been filthy. And that's always been the case, and it's just a matter of keeping the guy healthy. I think more than anything, not to skip to the end, but I wanted to see was the distance. He's now actually cracked that 15 outs per game. So if Rasmussen is going to give you a shot at 6 innings, that's really going to be a wheels up thing. The problem for him has been the Rays' offense is such shite. So this is like the obvious under, but I think the totals are probably right there also. Wondering if that F5 is at 3.5. It is, and it's juice. 3.5 minus 130. Nah, you're going to miss me with that. I know there's a great chance this ends 2-1, 1-0, 2-0. I just can't get there. I really just can't get there. Rasmussen, 295 ERA with a sub-1 whip. Gausman at 309.99, respectively. All the indicators are there. Man, I've had a fucking formatting issue with these damn K rates. Some bitch is sneaking in. Sorry, fixed now. That's fixed in real time. Damn you, Google. Damn you, Google Sheets. So I knew Rasmussen's 25K wouldn't be below average. Sorry about that. So he's been great. 21 KBB, 33 ball. Gausman to 18.5 KBB, 33 ball, right? You're going to get lots of efficiency. You're not going to get any walks. You're going to get challenges pretty much everywhere. I'm not even sure there's a weak split to be had. Fast forward to the backside. I guess Rasmussen's given up a few more barrels, but whatever. Both have been really tough on lefties. Both have been really tough on righties. Drew Rasmussen has allowed a 128 batting average to righties. Hachi, Machi, Liberace. So again, I mean, we're not really looking for much in the way of offense. Last 2 weeks be righties on both sides. Tons of blue. Gross stuff here. Rays at the top of the board. 306 slug. Both teams have hit for average, but both have had a really high BABIP, considering 34 pulls and, poor elevation rates and poor power metrics on both sides. Rays have a 2.5 barrel rate, last 230 PAs versus righties. That dog don't hunt, Chief. Now, fine, even if you wanted to push back that the sample felt a little bit small, L14, that's fine. Let's zoom out because we have time. Let's go L30V righties, both sides. Tampa and Toronto. Again, I'm trying to show off at times how you use the tools to fill in the gaps of your thinking, right? You should be able, and this is what these were built for. Remember, this isn't like a marketing tool. I built this as my war room, shared it with somebody, and they were like, dude, this is fucking awesome. This is good enough to share. You share it with smart people. You guys give me feedback. I improve it based on, your problems or holes or your, personal thirsts and desires. And, that's why I think this is some of the best team level data and stuff in the game. The idea was always, I found myself, you could tell, I talk fast, I move fast, I can get scrambled like everybody else. Over time, I've gotten a little bit better at focusing the fucking Tasmanian devil. But the reality is, 30 teams with all the moving pieces, with only hours to do this work. The best thing you could do for yourself, right? Not to make this an infomercial, this is really like man to man, man to woman, person to person, those things that resonate sometimes. Template as much of this shit as possible. Notice how similar the work looks every day. Even the boards. You want to be able to move left to right, right to left, up and down, with everything in the same spot, because that helps to kind of train thinking into muscle memory. And that speed is what this is about, right? The need for speed. I try and go one game at a time, do all the work. And that's why, we like that, the flip. I noticed something in the pitching game. Can I answer that in the offensive trends? Does that then resonate through the longer term trends? What does the model think about it? How should I be weighing bullpens? Thinking about this in terms of full and half game, getting out, and then kind of move it on. Right? Get in there, blow it out. We used to call it blitz and blow. In a different life, I was a union electrician. Shout out my local union number 3 guys, New York City. So there's really no offense to speak of here. The bullpens have been ridiculous. Look at these numbers for the Rays. I mean, obviously these are going to come back to earth, but you also don't get to this without being good. 42 and a third innings from the Rays with a .43 ERA, .90 whip, 188 BA, 0 home runs allowed. Wow, 0 losses taken in 2 weeks. Toronto not far behind. So again, scoring is going to be an absolute premium here. This is 3.5. I saw a 7.5. I bet you I was late. Is it down to 7 yet? Yes and no. 7.5, but it's juiced. That's what I think the answer is. Right, our favorite is at home. I used to call these a dogfight, which was my answer to 7.5 totals. The dogfight being, I don't know who's going to win. I don't know who's going to win. It's going to go back and forth, but I think this one gets answered at 4-3 either way. That said, we should give the books their due. They have the favorite at home. If you then eliminate the bottom of the ninth, I think you're going to get to under 7.5. Again, however that shakes out. Because it doesn't just have to be 4-3, right? There's all the 4-2, 4-1, 4-0. And 3-2, 3-1, 3-0. There's a lot, right? When you start bending those distribution curves to where I have the model, and that's how I wish if I was smarter, I'd be able to graph these. I'm like, that would be fucking awesome. But that's how I want you to think about them. Where that middle point lands to see like how often you're under a 7.5. Again, 7.5 feels high. I'm going to put that as the show pick. But if you're listening to this on the way home, don't be surprised if that one's at a U7, and then that's when I start to make my sand in the pussy face. I don't like that. So I got -120. I hope it's a little bit cheaper than that. Sometimes when I see -120 on MGM, as good as that pricing is for player stuff, the team level stuff, I find I could usually beat by a few cents at my bookie. Hit me up for a referral. They don't pay me. Maybe they should. Next up, Mr. Mike Soroka on the bump against nasty Nate Eovaldi in the naughty jungle of love. Is anybody pitching better than Eovaldi right now? This one felt like a misprice on its face. Rangers are starting to hit. Eovaldi got his groove back. And this doesn't feel like a sell the rip situation. You know, Eovaldi is an awesome pitcher whose leading indicator was there, right? I was trying to look for the right term. Nate Eovaldi, we've always said this. Nate Eovaldi plus 94 miles an hour equals good. However, look at this. I want to actually pop the hood on this because I didn't expect it. And it's the low usage on Eovaldi, and I might be getting ready to take an L right now. Maybe he snuck this one past me, and I just didn't realize it. Okay, no, this is a newer thing. Eovaldi's retooling the entire arsenal, and maybe there's something to kind of him figuring out. So the four-seamer is now like a nothing, right? You see it down in the low double digits. And you're getting more sinkers because he's becoming a splitter, a split finger guy. So let's see, that pitch is performing well. He's probably been a bit lucky on contact. Sometimes that can happen with the splitty. Cutter curve four-seamer, really a total retool here. You know, the slider that he used to use even like 3 or 4 years ago, that's really gone. He wasn't throwing a sinker, and he is throwing one now. I mentioned the four-seamer getting totally throttled. For a split finger, you know, up through the roof. I mean, the last like 5 years, this is overall usage. 21, 28, 31, 31, 32, 38. Practice with rounding. So maybe this is just a case of him kind of figuring this out, or it might be is it Gaussman? An understanding that there are going to be some blow-ups here. Split fingers are notoriously erratic. From what I understand, and again, this is hard to quantify. This is more interview stuff, pitch and coach stuff. But split finger pitcher success, long-term, large sample, can be predicated on their ability to go back to the four-seamer. So, and then there's like a stubbornness element too. So like if you get out there and the splitter is not breaking and it's sitting middle, and you gave up 2 homers in the first, are you going to continue force feeding that? Or are you going to be able to go to the regular four-seamer, excuse me, I'm sorry, as the foundational pitch? Damn, that felt lesson worthy, but the sound effect didn't go off where I needed it. To like retool intra game, right? In the same game. I'd like to think Eovaldi would be that type of guy. I'm actually glad I was able to spin off, and it's funny, for all the stats we have, people, and trust me, I put a lot of love into these. I think very highly of our work. There's always something that you could learn, popping the hood and getting under there, you know. So I think Eovaldi's going to shove, and as much as I like Soroka, he's kind of going in the other direction. Not to mention he's not getting the love from that offense we thought he might. Look at Arizona v. righties last 2 weeks. They're like in the shitter right now, batting 184 as a squad, 552 OPS, 25K, bottom 10 chase, 304 xWOL, but implies like 3 runs, maybe a cunt hair higher. This offense is not any good. Meanwhile, Texas is really starting to click. Offense looking really good versus righties. Power starting to get going. L7. Again, I'd like to see them run a little bit more, but that is what it is. Long story short, I think we've got the edge every way. Then the bullpens, right, isn't even close. Diamondbacks have overperformed, and when they get to the A guys, it's been way better than I thought it would. I'll take a fucking L. I will. You know, Seawald looks legit. However, back end of that bullpen is ass. So we're not really worried when you start seeing, you know, Hoffman and even like Clark sometimes, or unfortunately who I liked when Brandon Fott's been coming in, he's been getting cleaned up. So I have this one a little bit off. Again, I'm in a little bit of disagreement with the model. It has it closer than I do. I would have more separation as the game continues because I think Eovaldi could go deep. He just smushed the Yankees after a rough start. And I know it's 2 in a row, but like I don't care how many times does this guy have to show you he can give you 4, 5, 6 awesome starts in a row before face planting. So I'm going Texas win. I just think, I think the market is a little bit slow on this, kind of sine wave up. And it's funny because I like Soroka. We were the Soroka guys. You have to fucking going to tell me about. You don't tell me about Mike Soroka. I fucking tell you about Soroka. That's our shit, man. But you gotta get off when things are starting to look rotten. Again, we got some time. Quick hood pop on Soroka. See what we could see, just really quick. Somebody asked me about that. Someone was asking me about the hood pop. Maybe I'm gonna do a tutorial video. I gotta pay. I don't know how to paywall videos. You know what? Maybe I'll make that a podcast. That's gotta be paid only. There's some things that like you gotta keep for the peeps. Okay, so Soroka, he started with the slurve. He's still really heavy four-seamer slurve. That started last year. That was part of what we liked. He added a cutter. So let's see how that pitch is performing. It's been terrible. I always laugh about that. Now, listen, this could be similar to Eovaldi. It's a new pitch. You got to work on it. You got to refine it. So they're not going to give up on it just yet. But that I find funny. You retooled already, and it worked. You don't need to change for the sake of changing. That the secondary pitches, he was four-seamer slurve, then he'd go back pocket change up to lefties, which is fine. If you're going to be minimalized, that's exactly how to do it. Good four-seamer or something filthy, doesn't have to be any particular, and then a good changeup. We love that. Now he's adding this cutter that's been shitty. The four-seamer, which is never a great pitch, so you can see why they'd want to get off the 45 use. I would like to see more changeups. I think they could maybe be more creative with sequencing here and getting more secondary. So until Soroka is pitching backwards, I'm not buying this. So let's go Texas for the win. And moving on. Hold on, I'm going to steal a drink. My throat's on fire. All right, just 2 games left. Man, imagine if there was just a few games every day. It really is kind of fun to dive into them just a little bit further. Quick shot in the comments. Mark S is up in there. Shay doing work as always. Carolina J. Maine, you know it. Yo, Steve Stalling says, love listening to this. Bro. Yo, man. Thank you. Take a freaking bow. I really do appreciate you guys. It really touches me. People that come here to contribute things that are positive. And I don't mean asking questions is not positive. I want you to ask questions. I invite that. Seriously, you're not a drain. But I really value time so much, right? Does anyone talk about time more than I do? Like, I'm fat, I'm old. I have to think about time. But we all should be thinking about time. Don't be fucking bitter. Don't be a fucking sour bitch. Yo, hold on. Here's a good news thing coming in. Honestly, one of the keys to this life is surrounding yourself with not necessarily like-minded people, but people that are driven, ambitious, and positive. There is no replacement for that. You are going to become the company that you keep. I have hung with them all. Not proud of some of the things in the past. No one should be proud of a fucking felony arrest. Half of my groomsmen are convicted fucking felons. The others are fucking doctors and professionals. So I kind of learned the hard way. Shitty people don't want to see you succeed. They're not happy when you progress. They're not going to help push you forward. Good people do that, are happy for you, will go out of their way and contribute positive things. That's why this means so much to me, right? Where this is an actual growth of something real. And the evidence of that is in the comments with people working together You know what I'm saying? Taking this thing of mine and using it for something better. Because, again, you don't really want to be trying to beat general markets, right? That's how we tie in the betting part of these life lessons. So surround yourself with good, smart, ambitious, strong people that also kind of are looking to attack soft markets, right? Sharps attacking soft markets. That's why the hit run movie stuff is going to work better. Both teams to score and all team totals, because these things are really soft. They're really kind of unsolved. The general market is really sharp, even though it's not quite NFL CLV levels. Saturday, Sunday, fucking CLV is almost impossible to beat. I will trail prices sometimes, but that shouldn't happen too often. Baseball, granted, is just one day. The fruit's not on the vine as long. But, you want to still not be going after the thing with the eye of Sauron, right? The book's fucking attention. So, all right, tons of lessons. These are the days we get to do them. All right, 2 games left, and we'll get the hell out of here. It's the Pickle George Kirby on the bump for the M's, minus 143 favorite against the Stros and Peter Lambert at the crib. I will not bury the lead. Yo, I got to get a dog barking, don't I? I have to have a dog. I must, because I actually don't. I don't have one. Damn.
Shit.
Yeah, shit is right. Shit. I got to have a dog barking emoji. I've got Houston winning this one. Now, I am nervous about anything associated. We're going to do this one backwards with the Houston bullpen. Houston bullpen is ass. Maybe the worst bullpen in the league, just dying for the return of Josh Hader. They have an ERA north of 6. They're through 174 innings. So, hey, this is actually cool. I don't always do the year-to-date stuff. So I want to scroll just a touch. Think about this in terms of a starter season. Right, 174 innings in this new era is a full season from a starter. Where does this pitcher slot? 605 ERA, 163 whip, 262 BA allowed, walk rate north of 13, chase rate at 29, 45 fly ball, and 34 home runs. That's almost 2 homers per 9 across 174 innings. I mean, just the worst. The 13% walk is just such a killer with a 6 ERA. Right, it's not viable. So we don't want to be putting our money on that. I also really like Peter Lambert, and have had some questions about Kirby. So these are where we end with the price, of course. Kirby, of course, very good. There's no question. Right, he's very, very good. Astros, however, one of the better lineups against righties year to date in this. Under this lens, let's say. So the disciplinary stuff you can see. Indicators love Kirby. We're not looking to shellac this guy, right? That's not what the case here. High velo fastball. High usage. Poor stuff plus. We just spoke about this. You see that translate into low swinging strike, low CSW, high zone contact. So see how the high velo is not everything. Flip to the Astros, V righties. I'm going to go year to date because I know I saw this earlier today, and it's really, really impressive. Astros, easily one of the best right-handed teams in the league. I mean, this is crazy. Right? If they're not, I think they're leading the league. If not, they're going to be top 2 or 3 in extra base hits. But then it's just everything across the board. Top 3 in OBP, top 3 in slug, top 5 OPS. The XCon of 382, 334 xWOBA probably implies 4.5 runs. I don't think you could say the same about the flip side of this. Mariners v righties. The power stuff they're actually starting to pull it up with the more recent stuff. I've been a little bit worried about the Ks and the swinging strikes, only because we know that's been an issue with this team in the past. So I've had one eyeball on it. It's starting to creep up. And Lambert has been fantastic. I want to get under the hood because I think it's a little bit better than maybe the spreadsheet is showing us because the sample is too small. So I was looking earlier today, wondering why the model was so in love with it. And again, with the small samples, I'm always, very careful. but absolutely loving Lambert with the whiff stuff, right? If I'm not mistaken, I'm make sure now I don't make a freaking mistake here. Yeah, it's like through the roof. So tons of whiffs on the four seamer, which we love. That's always a big check, right? That usually shows in the diagnostic, as mentioned before. Really good movement profile, which he has. The extension is not great. It doesn't have to be. He does have good spin, so it's like enough to carry it. But he pairs that with the changeup, right? So we love whenever you're at like 8 miles or more disparity with the change, that also gets big whiffs. He does. Changeup has a sub 200 X lug, 41 whiff. Then he can go to the slider. So the changeup is for lefties. Remember, I mentioned it with Soroka. That's a classic MLB honk stuff. Good four-seamer with whiffs paired with the changeup back pocket to lefties. Slider to both-handed hitters that gets great results. 213 X lug, 31 whiff. He also has a cutter he's got, 219 X lug, 31 whiff. He could use that pitch against lefties. So now, as I'm drawing up, right, so as I'm kind of building the things in the program that play, it's all of that stuff. The second out pitch to lefties is fucking tremendous. That's a huge boost. I was mentioning it before with, damn it, whoever it was. Somebody. With the splitty. Oh, was it Eovaldi? And whoever we were talking about else. That when you have pitch A that you lean on so much, can you pivot? So having those options, especially for lefties, is huge. We've been talking probably as much as anybody about the platooning going on, and teams are trying to overlook, right? Legit, if you caught the fantasy episode yesterday, and then we talk about it on the weekly show, these teams are going crazy with lefty-righty splits. And then pinch hitting in-game, which really kills a lot of the player prop, DFS stuff, fantasy included. So anyway, I don't think Lambert is getting the love that he should. I think Houston is a better offense than Seattle, and I thought the price on this one was too shy. So I think I'm going to get on a little bit of a underdog. Let me see how fast this MGM stuff is working. Yeah, MGM is a really great site as far as scanning. I got to give it up to them. You know, I got plus 115 on the Stros F5, and to me it's short because I have them for the F5 win. So I got to take them as the dog. And then, unless the model is drunk and I drank along with it, I think I'm making the same argument for last, but certainly not least. The Giants and Trevor Old McDonald had a farm on the bump against the Trolley Dodgers. Right, we've officially entered public glazing territory of the Dodgers. They're a good team. I don't want anybody to start yelling at me about the stupid Yankees or whatever. You know, Shea Stradamus 100% avoid the Houston bullpen. Yeah, no crap. They're a joke. Jamie not buying the Houston offense that good. Yeah, you know what? I've had my doubts also, but it keeps bleeding through. You know what it is, and I'll tell you. I'm not saying you're necessarily going to agree, but I can tell you what the answer is at least. The spreadsheet stuff. The Houston Astros are so predicated on pulling the ball. Their entire identity is predicated on pulling the ball. Altuve and Paredes and, you know, even Walker is like that. That is the cheat code in MLB today. It is. You even see it with the Guardians, right? The Guardians also. Brian Rocchio, Jose Ramirez. These guys don't have barrel rates and hard hit rates or anything that resembles the power output that they get, opposed to a guy like Fernando Tatis. I already talked about Eno once. Let's shout him out one more time. If you're interested, Eno put out a tweet, I'm sure it went viral, people like him and don't like me, about Tatis's barrels and not hitting home runs. He like shifted his feet in a position that'll make it hard to pull. And if you're not going to pull, you're not going to get out. So we're looking for homers. As much as we love barrels and stats, there's that extra, like, you know, nipple pinch of the nuance. Though, that's it. Tatis is going to hit a home run eventually. But if you're shifted where your barrels are to the center, you know, it's going to hurt you. Where if you twist it, you won't have to barrel it and you'll get the fucking ball out. So let's get into Old McDonald, who's been awesome, against Roki Sasaki, who has not, although I know for a fact, man, I kind of split my attention. I'm going to see if I can do them both at once. I know for a fact Dodger fans are getting back into him. I'm not necessarily buying it. Sasaki's given up at least 3 earned in 4 of the last 5. I mean, at least 3 in each of the last 3. He has only struck out 6 batters once, double-digit walks in all but 2. The one that he didn't, he got knocked around anyway for 3 homers. Meanwhile, back at the Batcave, this kid McDonald is filthy. This kind of is playing like a reliever profile a little bit. I want to check his durability stuff. I'm not 1,000,000% familiar with his game. I just know that every time they seem to call this kid up, he dominates. He was starting in the minors. It was funny because he was having a really rough go. He has you don't see this often. He has much better major league numbers than minor league numbers. He went out and Fargan shoved. Right, he gave you a money start, 7 innings minimum, 2 earned run maximum. He went 7-1. The 1 run was a solo shot, walked none, struck out 8 against the Padres, who granted are not great, but there are a couple of professional hitters in that lineup. So I said, who the hell is Trevor McDonald? Okay, again, this is a reliever profile, but it very much resembles like a Clay Holmes, which is what? The reliever profile that can translate. So it's sinker all day, every day, right? So you're getting a sinker, elite command control. The thing is, it's so hard to get a good stick on. 180 XBA, 218 X slug. I mean, listen, to be able to throw a pitch 2/3 of the time and have major league hitters only put a 218 X slug on something is crazy. Will it continue? I don't know. Will this keep going? The thing is, the other option is filthy, and that's what you need. The slider to either handed hitter, the power slider throws it at 87, which you love. 191 X slug, 42 whiff rate. It's off to a really great start. Again, the sample is really small. But this has the potential to play at the price. Because, like I mentioned at the Open, the public is just crazy for the Dodgers. And I think when we get, I don't want to call them a no-name. I don't do that. I try not to bash major leaguers. Like, they create my job. You know what I mean? We love them. They're premier athletes. Like, I love them. But we got to do our analysis. And we have to at least be honest with the way the stupid public, like I'm okay calling the public stupid, the way that they digest information. And they're going to see the Dodgers at home and Roki Sasaki against some guy they never heard of. And the Giants who, suck. But plus 135. Now, the books, of course, fucking sharp bastards they are. There was a time where this F5, although we might have had an impact on this because the model's been out for, at least an hour and a half. And, I've got this one at minus 104, plus 104. And, it's minus 170, plus 135. So you're getting a pretty good discount on that F5. I think that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to say F it. And I'm going to play for the regular full game. This is something my guy, Matty Williams, we haven't talked to Matt in a while. I think he texted me. I didn't get back to him. Shout out my guy, Matt Williams. He's a winning bettor. Really hard worker, really sharp. He's going to be up all hours of the night. Like if you're serious about, like if I had to tail somebody, like let's say I didn't have time for the bullshit and the puzzle solving and I had to tail somebody, Matt Williams is probably the guy that I would tail. Because you're going to be getting emails at fucking 1 o'clock in the morning. And that's how you do it. He's hitting things when they first fucking drop and jumping on inefficiencies. And that is how you do it. Meaning, Matt and I can have the same exact bet ticket. he can have a winning record for the year. I can have a losing record. Because of the time that he's betting, he's going to be getting better prices. Bottom line. So shout out to my guy, Matt, because first of all, I just love people that argue with me because I know I'm persuasive, so I don't want to win every argument. I want to get pushed back on. And Matt would make the case for the F5 money line a lot of times. Now, there are times where he will take the run line, when it's not absolute. But when the price is at plus 135, opposed to having to get a negative, right? So the thing is, you're not getting a deal on the run. If this was plus 135, plus 110 getting the run, then you take the run. And I think he would agree. I don't like to speak for people. But when it's plus 135, it's costing you 45 or 50 cents, and you got to cross the plus to go into the negative. I think you should take the money line. I've come around to that. Especially we're looking for runs like from Sasaki, right? That's our fucking crux here, right? That's the point of our argument. So I think San Fran holds tough. I think San Fran's team total is also viable. I didn't think about that one. Oh, I forgot to fucking bring that shit up. I can't even do it right now. All right, we're going to get out of here in a second. Totals. MGM does have a total. No, that's both teams. God darn it. Oh, here it is. San Fran total runs. It's 3.5, but it's minus 150. That's kind of meh. I'd rather play the F5 at plus 135 than minus 150 to get 4 runs. Though I can't help but wonder, right? I definitely like them in the 3. I think I like them in the 3 runs. The alt stuff, that's the Jason special. But man, needing runs for the freaking Giants is hard, right? It sucks. Let me check really quick. I know it sucks. It's starting to click up a little bit. They've added a couple more youngsters, and like you're seeing the swing rate improve. Now we'd like a better than a 4% barrel rate versus righties, but Sasaki's just been so bad that I think all of our worries are baked into the price. So let's get out of here. I somehow made this last for a damn hour. Appreciate everybody, all the usual suspects. Kirby's in there. Carolina Daddy says Kirby's an auto bet for me. Are we betting against him or are you betting on him? Because I'm on the other side, but again, I think he's good. I don't love the premium because I am a little bit worried about the Astros versus righties, like I mentioned. Shea Shadama says, and this is another one. Make sure you're following my guy Shea. One of the, again, someone else taking this thing and making it even better. I love that. I mean, listen, trust me, I put a lot of pride in my work, but to think that it's not the end point, I love that, right? Just to expand, stretch the imagination, right? I have to build this. You get it built. You should take it somewhere. And he's had success. Says McDonald went into Dodger Stadium last year, 6 innings, once earned run. Right, that's another one too that this guy's been freaking amazing. This guy's been amazing. Now, Jason, real quick, because I that's not what I meant. Jay said the 2 or 3 you need to pair both teams to score. I'm a little worried about the Dodgers, both teams to score. I would want a good price. I think McDonald might shove. I think he might shove. So I'm a little bit worried. The good teams have to lose. This feels like the spots that they lose. I know the Dodgers lost yesterday, but it does happen in waves. Ask me. I lost in the finals of a fucking MLB Survivor with the Dodgers against the Marlins and the Cardinals. All right, so with that, let's get out of here. Oh, and for what it's worth, I forget to circle back to these things. My MLB Survivor that I ran on Edgecast, I'd like to shout out all the people at Edgecast and shout out to Commish. You should check out their work. Check out the website. They don't pay me. It's free. They've got some really cool data stuff, and I was looking and was like, man, I just don't have the time to go investigate. I kind of want someone else to go look and see if there's something there because it looks really good and they have a lot of great stuff, and I know there are sharp minds behind it. They were also our type of people to do the work. I was bitching and moaning about the lack of a Survivor tournament. They went and built that bitch. And they built a fucking beauty. So you got to give credit where it's due. Those are our type of guys. Please support the commish and all the people at Edgecast. Damn it, it's It's Edgecast, but it's, oh, fuck me. Hold on, I'm going to get this right. Just I don't want to pull their hair out. The edge is earned.com. I think if you put in Edgecast, because it's Edgecast, like in my thing, that's what I was using, my Google autofills, but the edge is earned.com. They do great work. And I was thinking about maybe running back another Survivor tournament. You know, we've built up the YouTube channel a little bit. We built up the podcast a little bit. And it's a lot of fun, and I paid out in full, right? In case anybody was wondering. I know it's a little weird to be doing third-party stuff, but we took a tiny rake just to make sure everything runs. 5%, which again is much lower than DFS or everybody else. It was $50. You got to go 500 or better during the week, Monday through Sunday, however it plays out. If you lose a game, you lose a game. If they add one, it counts. It's a scheduled thing. It is what it is. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. Winner take all, and I just paid out fucking $2,500. Although shout out the little tippy there at the end. We do appreciate the work. I again, I don't really take anything. It's a pain in the ass to be taking payments from people and all the fucking money stuff, but I don't mind. But again, if you're worried about third-party stuff, don't be. I have to pay out. Can you imagine if I were to ruin my reputation over a couple G's? Like, I obviously would not do that. That would be fucking stupid on my end. But we paid out in full. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, even though I lost that one a few weeks before mine, which was a more high-stakes one. But I may run ours back. I was thinking about, I don't know, maybe we could start for like June 1st, give it 3 weeks, or we could definitely do a second half one and start the first full week when we come back. So I'll put some thought. Hit me up if you want to play or what you think. All right, that'll do it. Let's get out of here. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the day. When we're done with the book, enjoy the pay. Shay says, Bobby Cox passing away. Add to the SF angle. Ooh. You know I love that stuff. I was already on it, so I love anything that, like, I was already making the play. So I love anything that makes me, like, put my hands up higher on the roller coaster. All right, let's get out of here. Appreciate you all. Just remember, when you work this freaking hard, man, the winning feels a lot less like luck, yo. Peace.